Hello, I am Rabbi Hugo Kleinberg, and today I need to share a truth with you that may sound unsettling at first, but will be liberating once you fully understand its meaning. Comment below with your financial situation to support prosperity and subscribe to my channel. I'm counting on your help to spread the message of Jewish wealth. During my 40 years of studying and teaching the financial principles of Jewish wisdom, I've discovered that millions of people over 45 are destroying their chances of prosperity for a reason no one wants to admit. They start every single day in a completely wrong way. Yes, you heard that correctly. The way you awaken, how you open your eyes, how you take your first steps into the day could be the very thing keeping you trapped in an endless cycle of work without real prosperity, of effort without results, of rushing without a clear direction. Not for a lack of dedication or ability, but because no one has taught you how to align your mind with the principles of abundance that govern the universe from the first moments of consciousness, according to the ancient teachings our sages have preserved for us. I want you to understand something very important. If you are over 45 and feel that you wake up every day racing against the clock, that you work tirelessly but can never seem to get ahead financially, you are not alone and you are not incompetent or unlucky. You have simply been misguided by a culture that confuses frantic activity with real productivity, that teaches you to run without teaching you the direction. In the sacred texts, there is a hidden wisdom about the first 20 minutes of the day that has remained concealed because our society has created a romantic narrative about personal sacrifice that is harming hard-working people like you. This crisis especially affects those who have built a life based on the idea that the earlier they wake up and the faster they start solving problems, the more prosperous they will be, when in fact the opposite is what works according to the spiritual laws of abundance. Let me tell you about Margaret, 52, a dedicated nurse who retired due to health issues and now works as a private caregiver. Margaret wakes up every day at 5 in the morning in a jolt of anxiety, jumps out of bed already thinking about all the responsibilities awaiting her, rushes to make coffee while checking messages on her phone, worries about her elderly mother who lives with her and needs constant care, quickly responds to her adult children who always have some financial emergency to solve, and runs out the door to work 12-hour shifts caring for people she barely knows. Over the last 3 years of living this way, Margaret has managed to save only $300 in her savings account, lives in constant worry about money, feels an emotional fatigue that seems endless, and has the sense that she's running on a treadmill where the harder she tries, the further she gets from any real stability. When she came to me at the beginning of this year, she said with tears in her eyes, "Rabbi, I work from the moment I open my eyes until I close them to sleep, but it feels like money slips through my fingers like sand. Am I doomed to live forever chasing after bills?" Robert, 58, a former accountant who lost his corporate job 3 years ago and now does freelance work, lives an even more desperate routine. Robert wakes up at 6 in the morning with his heart already racing, grabs his phone before even getting out of bed to desperately check emails for any new client, spends the entire day creating spreadsheets and filing returns for small business owners who pay very little and constantly delay payments, works late into the night because he has to accept any job that comes along, and goes to bed exhausted with his mind still racing, thinking about how he will manage to pay next month's bills. Robert told me with deep bitterness, "Rabbi, I wake up already working and go to sleep still working, but the more I work, the poorer I feel. It's like I'm rowing against a current that only gets stronger." What Margaret and Robert discovered in the most painful way possible, and what I want you to understand before you go through the same suffering, is that there is a fundamental difference between starting the day, reacting to circumstances, and starting the day, creating the circumstances. Our modern culture has taught hard-working people like them that productivity means accelerating from the first moment of consciousness, when in fact, the great sages of the Jewish tradition discovered millennia ago that prosperity begins with something they called hitbodedut, which means sacred isolation or inner communion, a practice of connection with the divine that, when applied correctly to the first moments of the day, creates an energetic resonance that attracts abundance almost automatically. There is also the concept of kavana, which means directed intention or focused purpose, where the great masters discovered something revolutionary. When a person dedicates the first 20 minutes of their day to aligning their consciousness with the universal principles of prosperity, establishing a clear intention, and connecting with the infinite source of abundance. The rest of the day flows according to this mental and spiritual programming established first thing in the morning. It's like tuning a radio to the right frequency before starting to listen to music, like calibrating an instrument before starting a concert, like setting a compass before beginning a journey. For years, teaching these principles to people like you, I have discovered a hidden rule that has transformed the lives of thousands of Jews throughout history, but has been systematically hidden from the general population. This rule is extremely simple, but incredibly powerful, and I call it the Prosperous Awakening Ritual. The rule is this: before doing any other activity, before checking messages, before making coffee, before thinking about the day's problems, before getting out of bed, a person must dedicate exactly 20 minutes to a specific practice that combines directed gratitude, abundance visualization, and prosperity decrees, an ancestral technique that works because it aligns the person's mental frequency with the frequency of wealth from the first moment of consciousness of the day. This rule is often unknown because people have been conditioned by modern society to believe that wealth comes only from physical labor and constant effort, when in fact, the great Jewish millionaires and billionaires have always known that prosperity begins in the mind, that there is a specific mental programming that must be done daily to keep a person in tune with the wealth opportunities that are constantly appearing around them, but remain invisible to an improperly programmed mind. It's like having a metal detector that needs to be turned on and calibrated every day to find treasures that are buried everywhere, but only reveal themselves to those who know how to look for them correctly. I want you to understand deeply why this morning ritual is so powerful according to ancient wisdom. The Eternal created the universe in such a way that the first moments of consciousness each day are like a blank page where we can write the script of our experiences. When we wake up rushing, reacting, worried, anxious, we are writing on that page words of scarcity, fear, and limitation. When we wake up with intention, gratitude, and spiritual connection, we are writing words of abundance, peace, and expansion. The universe then conspires to give us experiences that correspond exactly to what we have written on that sacred page of the first 20 minutes. The Prosperous Awakening Ritual consists of 5 sacred steps that anyone can do while still in bed, before even fully opening their eyes. First step: express gratitude for 3 specific things related to the money you already possess, even if it's a small amount, because gratitude is the frequency that expands what we acknowledge and honor. Second step: visualize with vivid details and real emotions what your life will be like when you have achieved the financial stability you desire, feeling the sensations of security and abundance as if they were already your present reality. Third step: decree in a low but firm voice, a powerful prosperity affirmation based on Kabbalistic teachings about manifestation through the spoken word. Fourth step: establish a crystal-clear intention about the main financial action you will take that day to move closer to your prosperity goals. Fifth step: dedicate 3 minutes to a specific breathing technique that activates what the sages call neshama yetera, the additional soul that connects us with the infinite abundance of the universe. When Margaret began to apply this sacred ritual, something extraordinary happened in her life that still moves me when I recall it. In the first week, she called me, confused, because she had received an unexpected call from a wealthy family in the area, offering her a job as a caregiver with a salary 40% higher than what she was earning, more flexible hours, and even the possibility of living on their property without paying rent. In the second week, a former colleague approached her to propose a partnership in a small, healthy food business for the elderly, something Margaret had always dreamed of but never had the courage to try. In the third week, she received a letter from a lawyer's office informing her that a distant aunt had left her a small apartment that could be sold or rented. In 40 days of faithfully practicing the Prosperous Awakening Ritual, Margaret had attracted opportunities that represented an income increase of over 200%, and more importantly than the money, she regained the feeling that the universe was working in her favor instead of against her. Robert had an even more impressive transformation because he applied the ritual with a military-like discipline that surprised me. He decided to wake up 20 minutes earlier every day to do the full practice before checking any messages or thinking about work. In the first week, he reported feeling a strange calm during the day, as if he were protected by a bubble of serenity that helped him make smarter decisions about which clients to accept and which projects were worthwhile. In the second week, a former boss approached him offering a partnership in a new accounting firm specializing in small businesses. In the third week, he had a sudden idea to create an online course teaching basic accounting to new entrepreneurs, something he had never thought of before, but that seemed obvious when his mind was properly aligned. In 2 months, Robert had not only become a partner in a prosperous business, but was also developing a source of passive income through his digital course, which already had over 300 paying students. What I discovered by observing these transformations, and hundreds of others like them over the years, is that there is a fundamental difference between working for money and attracting money through spiritually aligned work. When a person programs their mind correctly first thing in the morning through the prosperous awakening ritual, they naturally begin to make wiser decisions, notice opportunities that previously went completely unnoticed, develop a magnetic presence that attracts prosperous people and profitable projects into their life, and most importantly, stop wasting precious energy on activities that do not generate real or sustainable financial returns. I want to teach you now the specific techniques that make up each of the 5 sacred steps of the prosperous awakening ritual, so you can start applying them today and experience in your own life the transformative power of this ancient practice. The first step, directed gratitude, should be done with your eyes still closed. At the exact moment you realize you've woken up, but before you fully open your eyes, you must mentally focus on 3 specific things related to money for which you feel genuine gratitude, even if they are small. For example, I am grateful for having money to buy food today. I am grateful for having a roof over my head that I can afford. I am grateful for having skills that generate income. The key here is to feel the real emotion of gratitude, not just recite empty words, because it is the emotional vibration of gratitude that signals to the universe that you are ready to receive more of what you already recognize and value. The second step, abundance visualization, requires you to create a vivid movie in your mind of what your life will be like when you have achieved the financial stability you desire. You must see your new reality in specific detail. What your house will look like, what kind of clothes you will wear, what foods you will buy without worrying about the price, what trips you will take, how you will feel when checking your bank account, what the expression on your face will be when you no longer have financial worries. But be careful. You must not visualize this as a distant dream. You must feel these images as if they were your current reality. You must experience the emotions of security, peace, and abundance, as if you were already living this prosperous life today. It is this emotional programming that instructs your subconscious to seek and recognize the opportunities that will lead you to that reality. The third step, the prosperity decree, is based on the sacred power of the spoken word according to Kabbalistic teachings on how sound vibration can reorganize material reality. You must pronounce in a low voice, but with firmness and conviction, specific phrases such as, "My abundance flows like a river that never runs dry. Every breath I take attracts golden opportunities. My magnetic presence connects me with prosperous people. Money comes to me from multiple unexpected directions. I am a prosperous channel for divine blessings." These are not empty affirmations or superficial positive thinking. They are spiritual decrees based on ancient principles about how the word, spoken with sacred intention, can literally reorganize the circumstances around us. The fourth step, setting a daily intention, requires you to choose a specific action you will take that day to move closer to your financial goals. It cannot be a vague intention like, "I will work hard," or "I will look for opportunities." It must be something concrete and measurable like, "Today I will call 3 potential clients. Today I will research 5 investment opportunities. Today I will write the first chapter of my online course. Today I will negotiate a raise at my current job." This specific intention acts as a magnet that attracts to you exactly the situations needed to fulfill this goal, because the universe conspires to give us what we declare with clarity and determination. The fifth step, the additional soul breathing, is perhaps the most powerful of all, because it activates what the sages call neshama yetera, an extra dimension of consciousness that connects us directly with the infinite source of universal abundance. You must inhale deeply while counting to 4. Hold your breath while counting to 4. Exhale slowly while counting to 6. And keep your lungs empty while counting to 2. This breathing pattern should be repeated exactly 9 times, while you hold in your mind the image of a golden light entering your body, with each inhalation and spreading abundance through every cell of your being with each exhalation. This specific breathing technique was preserved by the great masters because it activates energy centers that normally remain dormant, creating a direct connection with the frequencies of prosperity that permeate all of creation. When you complete these 5 sacred steps, something extraordinary happens on an energetic level that I can confirm through decades of observing people who faithfully apply this practice. You not only get out of bed with a sense of purpose and clear direction, but you literally become a magnet for prosperous situations throughout that entire day. Clients appear unexpectedly, opportunities reveal themselves in casual conversations, profitable ideas arise spontaneously in your mind, influential people are drawn to your presence, financial problems find creative solutions, and you develop a sharp intuition for making decisions that always result in gain rather than loss. I want to share with you now a complementary technique that further enhances the power of the prosperous awakening ritual. It's what I call the abundance anchor, where you associate this mental and emotional state of prosperity with a specific physical stimulus that can instantly reactivate this programming during the day. Choose a specific scent, like orange or sandalwood essential oil, and inhale this fragrance at the end of your morning ritual every time. Then, carry this scent with you and use a few drops on your wrists whenever you need to reactivate the state of prosperity during important situations like negotiations, job interviews, client meetings, or financial decision-making moments. This way, you can instantly access the same mental frequency of abundance that you established in the morning. There is also what I call the weekly abundance map, a complementary practice that will completely transform how you see and plan your financial life. Every Sunday before sunset, you must sit in a quiet place with a pen and paper and write down exactly 7 specific actions you will take during the following week to increase your income or improve your financial situation. These cannot be vague actions like work more or save money. They must be concrete and measurable commitments like, on Monday, I will call 5 new potential clients. On Tuesday, I will research 3 investment opportunities. On Wednesday, I will negotiate a discount on 2 fixed bills. On Thursday, I will study digital marketing for 1 hour. On Friday, I will write an article to attract clients. On Saturday, I will organize my financial documents. On Sunday, I will plan for the week ahead. The power of this practice lies in the fact that when you write down these specific commitments by hand, your subconscious mind already begins to organize the necessary circumstances for them to be fulfilled naturally. Let me tell you about Daniel, 61, a retired man who worked as a doorman and was living on just his small pension, always worried because the money didn't last the whole month, and he constantly had to ask his children for help, a situation that left him ashamed and depressed. When Daniel started applying the prosperous awakening ritual combined with the weekly abundance map, he discovered skills he didn't even know he had. In the first week, he committed to offering his gardening services to neighbors on the weekend, something he always enjoyed doing but had never thought of as a source of income. In the second week, he decided to learn how to do small home repairs through online videos and offered these services in his neighborhood's social media group. In the third week, his wife suggested he teach neighborhood children how to play chess, as he had always been an excellent player and they could charge a symbolic fee for the lessons. In 2 months of consistently applying these practices, Daniel had created 3 complementary income streams that earned him more than his pension, and more importantly, he regained the pride and sense of purpose he had lost when he stopped working formally. Lucy, 56, a former secretary who lost her job when the company she worked for closed, spent 3 years doing sporadic cleaning and organizing jobs, always distressed because she never knew how much she would earn the next month, and was constantly in the red, buying groceries on credit and falling behind on basic bills. When Lucy adopted these sacred practices, something extraordinary blossomed in her life that not even she expected. Through the weekly abundance map, she committed to turning her organizing experience into a specialized professional service. In the first week, she visited 5 homes, offering organizing and decorating consultations. In the second week, she created an Instagram profile showing before and after photos of her work. In the third week, she developed service packages with fixed prices and began to charge the true value for her knowledge. In 3 months, Lucy had become a highly sought-after residential organizing consultant, with a full schedule and an income 3 times higher than what she earned as an employee, working fewer hours and with much more personal satisfaction. What Daniel and Lucy discovered, and I want you to understand deeply, is that every person over 45 possesses a hidden treasure of knowledge, skills, and experiences that can be transformed into sources of income when the mind is correctly aligned with the principles of abundance. The problem is that our culture has taught mature people to believe they are too late for real prosperity, when in fact, this is the perfect age to apply accumulated wisdom profitably, because you already have something that young people don't: life experience, emotional maturity, a network of contacts built over decades, and especially the ability to offer real value based on time-tested knowledge. I also teach a sacred practice called the Prosperous Sabbath, based on the biblical principle of creative rest that allows the universe to conspire in our favor. Every Friday, starting at sunset, you should completely stop working physically and dedicate a few hours to strategically planning your finances, but without pressure or anxiety, in a state of serene contemplation and spiritual connection. You can review your financial goals, study investment opportunities, research new markets for your services, or simply meditate on abundance and prosperity while walking in nature or taking a relaxing bath. The power of this practice lies in the fact that when we stop forcing solutions and enter a receptive state, our financial intuition sharpens dramatically, and we begin to receive valuable insights on how to improve our situation creatively and sustainably. During these moments of the Prosperous Sabbath, many of my students reported receiving brilliant ideas that they would never have discovered if they were working frantically. Daniel had the inspiration to create an online course on urban gardening for small apartments, something that now generates significant passive income for him. Lucy realized she could teach her organizing techniques through corporate workshops, expanding her business into the corporate sector with much higher profit margins. Margaret discovered she could create a simple app connecting families in need of caregivers with qualified professionals, becoming an intermediary and receiving a commission for each contract closed. There is also the method of Thursday decrees, a powerful practice where you establish specific affirmations about the opportunities you want to attract in the coming week. Every Thursday, exactly at sunset, you should stand facing west, breathe deeply 3 times, and decree in a loud, firm voice phrases like, "I decree that in the coming week an unexpected opportunity to increase my income will come to me. I decree that a prosperous person will cross my path offering a profitable partnership. I decree that a brilliant idea will blossom in my mind, bringing lasting abundance. I decree that money will flow into my life through channels I cannot even imagine today." These decrees work because Thursday is ruled by Jupiter in the Jewish astrological tradition, the planet of expansion and abundance, and sunset is the most powerful energetic transition point for manifesting intentions related to material prosperity. But I need to share something even more profound with you about why these practices work so consistently. According to Kabbalistic teachings, there are 10 energetic dimensions that influence our material reality, called the Sephirot, and 3 of them are directly connected to financial abundance: Chesed, which governs generosity and the attraction of resources; Gevurah, which governs healthy boundaries and preservation; and Tiferet, which governs the prosperous balance between giving and receiving. When a person faithfully applies the Prosperous Awakening ritual, along with the complementary practices I am teaching, they naturally balance these 3 cosmic forces in their life, creating an irresistible magnetic field for sustainable prosperity opportunities. Many people over 45 come to me saying they feel they've missed the timing to get rich, that it's too late for significant changes, that they don't have the energy or knowledge needed to compete in the modern world. But I want you to understand a liberating truth. This is exactly the ideal age to apply these ancient techniques, because you already possess the most important element for real prosperity, which young people have not yet fully developed. You possess discernment. You know how to distinguish genuine opportunities from fleeting illusions. You know how to value stability instead of chasing get-rich-quick schemes. You know how to build lasting relationships instead of seeking quick gains that don't last. When this mature wisdom aligns with the spiritual principles of abundance through the practices I am teaching, the result is a solid, dignified, and sustainable prosperity that inexperienced young people rarely manage to achieve. I want to teach you now how to establish what I call the Morning Prosperity Pact, a sacred commitment to yourself that will become the unshakable foundation of your financial transformation. This pact is not a simple promise or good intention that can be broken when laziness or discouragement arises. It is a spiritual oath based on the Jewish concept of neder, which means a sacred vow, where you commit before the Eternal to never start a single day without performing the complete, prosperous awakening ritual, creating a sacred discipline that becomes automatic in a few weeks and acts as a constant magnet for financial opportunities that will completely transform your reality. To establish this pact correctly, you must choose a solemn moment, preferably on a Friday at sunset. Light a white candle, gaze intently at the flame, and pronounce aloud, "I make a sacred pact with myself and with the divine forces of abundance, committing myself to dedicate the first 20 minutes of each day to aligning my consciousness with universal prosperity, knowing that this morning ritual is my most important investment and that all the abundance that will come into my life depends on it." During my 40 years of teaching these principles, I discovered a specific technique to further enhance the power of the morning ritual. It's what I call the gratitude coin, where you choose a special coin that you will always carry with you as a physical reminder of your morning abundance programming. This coin should be chosen carefully, preferably gold or silver-colored, and during the morning ritual you should hold it between the palms of your hands while doing the additional soul breathing, energetically charging it with your intention of prosperity. Then, during the day, whenever you touch this coin in your pocket or purse, you will instantly reactivate the mental state of abundance established in the morning, reminding yourself that you are a prosperous person who attracts golden opportunities into your life. This technique works because physical objects can be imbued with specific frequencies when consistently exposed to elevated mental states, becoming powerful talismans that keep our vibration aligned with abundance, even during moments of challenge or doubt. I also teach the Prosperity Mirror method, a complementary practice that drastically accelerates the subconscious programming for wealth. Every morning, after completing the prosperous awakening ritual in bed, you should go to a mirror, look directly into your own eyes, and pronounce with absolute conviction specific phrases like, "I am a prosperous person, and money flows naturally into my life. My magnetic presence attracts prosperous people and opportunities. I deserve abundance, and I accept all the financial blessings the universe has for me. Every day that passes, I become richer in wisdom and in material resources. The Eternal created infinite abundance, and I am a worthy channel of this prosperity." The power of this technique lies in the direct eye contact with yourself while pronouncing these truths, because the subconscious mind accepts as reality what it sees and hears simultaneously, especially when it comes from our own reflected image, creating a deep conviction that automatically manifests in prosperous decisions and actions throughout the day. Let me share a story now that changed my understanding of the transformative power of these practices. Edward, 63, a man who had lost everything in bad investments 5 years ago and lived in depression, thinking his life was over, that he would never be able to recover financially at his age, came to me in desperation because he was about to lose the house where he lived with his wife and felt like a complete failure as the family's provider. When I started teaching Edward the prosperous awakening ritual, he initially resisted because he thought it was mystical stuff that wouldn't work for a practical man like him. But his situation was so desperate that he decided to try it for 40 days just to prove it wouldn't work. What happened next still moves me deeply when I recall it. In the first week of faithfully applying the ritual, Edward began to feel an inner peace he hadn't experienced in years, as if a constant inner voice of self-criticism and despair had finally been silenced. In the second week, he had a sudden idea to use his investment experience to teach others how to avoid the mistakes he had made, turning his greatest defeat into his greatest value offered to the world. In the third week, he created a group on WhatsApp called Conscious Investing, where he began to share daily tips on financial education based on his mistakes and successes. In the fourth week, some people from the group started asking for individual consulting, willing to pay for the practical knowledge he had acquired through suffering. In 3 months, Edward had developed a prosperous business as a financial consultant specializing in recovering lost assets, with more clients than he could handle and an income higher than he had before losing everything, but now built on solid foundations of real wisdom instead of risky speculation. Edward's case taught me something fundamental that I want to convey to you. There is no age that is too late to start over when we apply the correct principles of spiritual alignment with abundance. In fact, people who have gone through significant financial losses after the age of 45 possess a treasure of experience that can be transformed into value offered to the world in a very profitable way, because they know firsthand what works and what doesn't. They can teach others to avoid dangerous pitfalls, and they possess a credibility and authenticity that inexperienced young people simply cannot offer. When this mature experience is combined with the correct mental programming through the morning ritual, the result is a solid, sustainable, and deeply satisfying prosperity that goes far beyond the simple accumulation of money. I also want you to understand that there is a fundamental difference between applying these techniques sporadically when you remember or when you are motivated, and creating an unshakable sacred discipline that becomes a natural part of your daily awakening. Those who apply the Prosperous Awakening ritual only occasionally may experience some interesting coincidences or minor improvements, but those who commit to a sacred pact of 40 consecutive days without fail, not even for a single morning, experience a transformation so profound that it seems almost magical, because they are working with fundamental spiritual laws that govern the manifestation of abundance in the material universe. That is why I want to make a specific invitation to you who have followed this message so far. I want you to write down right now, in your own handwriting on a piece of paper, the following commitment. I solemnly commit to applying the Prosperous Awakening ritual every day for the next 40 consecutive days, dedicating the first 20 minutes of each morning to aligning my consciousness with universal abundance, knowing that this is my most important contribution to my own prosperity and financial dignity. After writing it, sign your full name and keep this paper in a special place where you can see it every day. This is not just a psychological exercise. It is a ritual of commitment based on the sacred power of the written word that will activate spiritual forces to support your transformation. Repeat with me now these words of power that seal your commitment to prosperity. I accept abundance as my divine right. I deserve dignified and sustainable prosperity. I am a prosperous channel of the infinite blessings of the universe. My financial life is aligned with the eternal principles of spiritual wealth. Feel these words penetrate deeply into your heart and mind, programming every cell of your being to attract and maintain real abundance. May the Eternal richly bless your journey of financial transformation. May each morning be a new, prosperous beginning in your life. May golden opportunities multiply in your paths like flowers blooming in spring, and may you enjoy dignified, sustainable, and blessed abundance for all the days of your life. So may it be, and so may it remain forever. Amen.